This is an extended demonstration of the one I gave in my talk recently on giving a talk, and it's a demonstration of setting up PowerPoint using the OneDrive PowerPoint facility. It's done on a Windows computer, and I'm using Google Chrome as my internet. I should maximize that to avoid any confusion. And OneDrive. If you type OneDrive, you'll find that you get OneDrive login. So this is the way to find yourself to find your way to the facility. And there you can see Microsoft Sign In and Microsoft OneDrive. So this is a Microsoft facility. And if you are using a Windows computer, then you should already have a Microsoft account with a password, which you can type into there. You can see my email address just popped up there. And the next screen will ask you for your password. If you haven't got one, then you can click here and create one. I've got one I prepared already. This is the screen. You may see it differently when you first arrive. But if I go click on my files here, I like to store things in documents. I've tucked them away somewhere else for the purposes of this demonstration. So there's nothing there at the moment, but let's make a start. So up here we have a button that says Add New. And if you click on Add New and PowerPoint Presentation, that will open up the facility for you. So this is an online PowerPoint. It's free to use. You can run demonstrations from it, of course, as long as you have internet access. If you want to download them and you have PowerPoint installed on your machine, then you can run them from there as well. Or you can put them on a memory stick and take them to somebody who does have PowerPoint, and they should run absolutely fine. I don't particularly want to see Designer. I'll shut that up to simplify matters. Okay, so let's work through my checklist. So this is a new PowerPoint, and at the top here you can see it's called Presentation, and when I hover over the name Presentation I can rename it and call it something else, David's Demo, say. What you should also notice is that when the PowerPoint opened, it's on a separate tab from the list where you started. So the tab where you started is still there, and this is the PowerPoint. So I've called it David's Demo. And here we have what's called a menu bar with a number of different options on it. I'm going to be taking a look at Home, Insert, Animations, and Slideshow. And what you see in these will vary depending upon what you have selected. So, for example, here we have our first slide, which is generated by default, a title slide. And I can type into that. A heading and a subheading. And as I type into these things, you can see you get a little box around them with a variety of circles on. And so that is when the item is selected. I'll come back to that in a moment. And if while that is selected, I position myself on the corner here and right click, oops, wrong option, within it and right click, you can see you get options like paste. You can paste in text. If I select some text and right click, you can see I now have a copy option. So the options you get in a right click will vary depending on what you click on. Over here we have a list of slides. There's only one at the moment, and if I right click on the slide over there, you can see I've got things like new slide and duplicate slide, which didn't appear when I had something selected over here. Okay, so we have the title, and I've selected that. You can adjust the size of the thing. I tend to use these corner ones rather than the ones in the center, because that adjusts it both ways at once, vertically and horizontally. So you can adjust the size. And if you position on the lines and you get this four-headed cross, you can move things around. So perhaps you want to put that up there. And maybe you want to resize that to squeeze in something else. Maybe put a picture in later over here. And so that looks like that. Let's do another slide. So if I go to Insert, there's a number of options here, and one of them is New Slide. If I just click on New Slide, I'll get the default format for a, what would you call it? Not a title slide, but an ordinary slide within a PowerPoint. And there you see it's added a second one, and this has a title. Oops. And some text. And I'm pressing carriage return enter between these to get the new lines. And as you can see, by default, it has bullets on it. Don't have to adjust the size of that. You can do if you want to. Okay. Now, if I select the text, and I can do that by holding down the left clicker on my mouse and moving it to select the text, I can select some of it or all of it, whichever I want to do. If you select the text and go up to the menu bar and click on Animations, then you have three basic options here. There are lots of others as well. And I'm going to choose Fly In because it looks a bit more funky so you can see what's going on. And if you just ignore me for a second, I'm going to adjust an option here because I don't believe that's how it's going to appear when you do it for the first time. So if you've ignored that bit, you can see I've chosen Fly In and there's a number 1 there. So when this slide appears, I'll get my title and I won't get my items shown until I click a second time. Let's show you that. So here on the menu bar, there's slideshow. And if I say from beginning, there's my first slide, my title slide, and here's my second one. And you can see there's nothing down here. But if I left click again, those items come. And you remember I chose Fly In. I could have chose Fade In or just appear. They could just flash up. If I left click again, end of slideshow, click to exit and click left click another time, and that brings me back. So this item is appearing after the slide's first appearance when we click a second time. If I select that, so you can see the box around it, I've selected it now, and go back to animations. In addition to these standard options, there's a thing here called options. And if I click on that, the default, which I think you'll get when you first start, is as one object. And if you say as paragraph by paragraph, you see now I've got 3 numbers. So these things will occur in stages. And I'll just prove that to you. Click on slideshow. And instead of going from the beginning this time and showing the title slide, I'm just going to say from current slide. So there it is, my first slide. And there's item 1, item 2, and item 3. And this is really handy if you want to present information a little at a time and you don't want people, you want people listening to what you're saying and not looking ahead to what appears elsewhere later on the slide. End of slideshow, click to exit, and out we go. If you're part way through displaying a slideshow and you want to come out, you can press the escape key, which is at the top left-hand side of your keyboard. Let's take another look at that. Text. So if I select some text, maybe these 2 items here, there are some options here that you can use, but I'm going to show you the works, the full lot up here. So having selected that, if I go to home, what you see now are the text related options. So you can increase the size of the text. You can decrease the size of the text. You can change the font and the size that way. You can make it bold. You can make it italic. You can underline it. And you can also change the font color. So red is the default here. But if you click the down arrow to the right of it, you can pick a different color. Bearing in mind, some of your audience may be colorblind. And if you look here now, you can see bold, italic, and underline have all got a sort of board around them, and they're slightly grayed. And the same is true over here of this thing with the dots on, and that's bullets. So you have different forms of bullets you can use if you check the drop down. But what I'm going to do with those bottom two lines is just take the bullets off. So if I click here, it's on at the moment. Click here to take it off. And that actually deselects the text. So if you want to do something further, like taking off the bold, then you have to select the text again. So if I adjust the size of this thing, I might want to put in some more text somewhere. So I need to deselect that, click somewhere else, so it doesn't, the new text box that I create doesn't just replace that one. So I'll come out of there, and if you go to insert, you remember we've used new slide already, but here you have text box, and you can click on text box and draw a box and type in some text. You might want to take text from somewhere else, from a Word document or from a web page. So here, for example, is a football report, not one that you'll like very much if you're a Southampton fan. And I might want to take text from there. But the trouble from that, or with Word, is that what looks like ordinary typing here, in fact, includes a lot of other font information, a lot of old structure information for the text. Like, for example, here you've got a hyperlink that takes you to another report. And if you just copy it from here and paste it straight into your PowerPoint, then it takes that along with it, and it can make it awkward and difficult to get things in exactly the format you want. It gets really quite frustrating. But there is an answer to that. So if I come down here to the bottom, this bar is probably permanently displayed on your display. I turn it off when I don't need it. And if you type into that notepad, this is a very basic editing system that's available on all Windows PCs. I can maximize that. And if I switch back to my report here, I can take some text and I can right click on it. Having selected it, I can copy. If I then go back to Notepad, which I can do by that route, or I can come down to the bottom and just click on it where it appears on here. I can right click in here and I can paste my text. And if I now select my text from here and copy it, right click, copy, and go back to my slide, I can insert a new text box, a further text box, draw it there, and I can actually right click on the line and paste, and it includes the text there for me. So going via Notepad is a bit tedious, but it saves a lot of problem if you start adjusting formats later. It can get very confusing if you don't. Final thing you might want to do, let's move that over there by positioning on the line and using the forehead, spotting the forehead arrow and moving things along. We can adjust the size of it. Let's add a picture. But before, yeah, let's do that on this slide here. So if I go back to my insert menu, we've seen new slide and new box, and here is pictures. You can insert pictures from this device. These are a series of pictures I used in the demonstration. So if I click that one and open it, this is a folder on my own computer. One moment, please. Don't you know if you heard that? There was a little interruption from my wife. So that's inserted the picture for us. And if you position on the border of it, you can move it around and you can adjust the size. Probably don't want it over the top more stuff. You see I'm using the corners here. That keeps it in proportion. If you use the sides or the top or the bottom, you'll see what happens. It actually scrunches it up and changes the proportions. And if it does that, and you go back to home, having selected that item, you'll see there's a little thing here called undo, which undoes the last thing you did. And if I click it again, it undoes the last thing you did before that. So that's very handy. Okay, almost there. Let's create a new slide. So insert, new slide. And this time, instead of using the default format with the title and the text boxes, I'm going to click this down arrow and I'm going to choose. So you can see title slide, title and content, which is what we got for our second slide. Then you can do just a title on its own, or you can do blank only, various things. I'm going to click title only. And this is slide. Picture on this one. So I'm already on the insert tab. I can insert pictures. I like to take them from this device, so I like to have them all stored and ready. Let's put that one on there. I'll have a little chat doing a meditation. So we can take a look and see how that looks now. You remember on the menu bar, there's slideshow, and we can start from the beginning. There's our first title slide. Here's the slide. Most of that's appeared straight away, but some of it hasn't, because you remember I put an animation on those items. And there's our third slide. End of slideshow. Click to exit. So that's the basics. You can, these changes that you've made to this thing are saved automatically. You remember I called it David's demo, and there are 3 slides there. If I just close this window, this tab rather, here's my list. Rather confusingly, it still says presentation, which was the original name before I changed it. But up here in Chrome, in Google Chrome, there's a reload, a redisplay button. You'll have a similar thing if you're using another browser. I click on that. You see there now it's realized that the name has changed. It's taken account of that, and there it is. And so if you want to run that, you can just click on it and start it off. Go to slideshow. Oops, I beg your pardon. Go to slideshow and run the thing. If you want to download that, you can click there to select it, and then you get various options, and one of them is download. And over here on the right hand side on Chrome, you get a little thing here telling you about the progress of your download. If we go to Explorer, which is this yellow thing, which is a way of finding your files, File Explorer, and open it up, there are various direct access things, and one of them is called downloads. And there's our demo. So if you want to copy it, if you have PowerPoint on your machine, you can run the thing from there. If you don't, and you want to put it on a memory stick, then you can move it from there to the memory stick and take it and put it on somebody else's computer. One last thing, I promised, I glossed over switching between applications, programs, whatever you want to call them. So I'll just go back and illustrate that for you. So here I am in Explorer, and if I want to switch to one of the other things I've got running, if I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and press Tab once, keeping that Alt key held down, it shows me a list of all the different things that are running at the moment. You can see File Explorer there, top left, and the next item has got a white border around it. If that's where I want to go, and I've still got my Alt key held down, then all I have to do is release the Alt key. But if I want to go somewhere else, say to that writer thing where I've been preparing some stuff, I can press Tab repeatedly. As you can see, it takes me around different things, and when I get to the one I want, I just release the Alt tab and it puts me there.